Oh, g'day. Welcome to the weekend wander here at Griffetts Garden. I'm going to try and take you for a bit of a regular wander around the garden just to show you where things are at from time to time. In this case, we're looking at how this spinach has not gone to plan. It was supposed to regrow without going to seed. Well, that hasn't happened, but we will continue. But the purpose of today is just to show you around the garden, as I said, various different things. Not really go into any detail of the different things that we do have happening, like the tomato patch. There's the raised garden beds and the progress on those. But in the meantime, we'll just go for a bit of a wander and I'll point out various things around the garden. Feel free to drop some comments if you wish. So let's start with the spinach story. You saw in the first video, my very first video actually, I'll put a link to it up above. It's pretty raw, but they all are still. But all of this bed of spinach was all going to seed. And I thought maybe if I could cut it back as pretty harshly, it would grow back. It certainly had leaves coming out of it, so it would grow back and not go to seed. Well, that's not the case. You can see it's all going back to seed. So if anyone has any tips for solving this problem, other than ripping it out and replanting it, if you're able to get it through the seeding phase, then let me know, because I certainly want to be able to keep the chicken feed up, which is, believe it or not, mostly this is for chickens. We always have a few volunteer potatoes. One there, there's a few more coming up here. But this is our bed of potatoes for this year. It's about 4 metres by 1, so 12 by 3 feet-ish. 2 different varieties. King Edward on the left and royal blue on the right. These ones are indeterminate, like the tomatoes I've been talking about. In this case, the fruit grows up the stem, same as tomatoes. But so then you have to hill these potatoes, whereas these ones are determinants, and they just largely grow at the bottom. So you can only do a certain amount in a small raised bed, but they have been hilled up, as you can see. If you can see through there, the other ones have not. I haven't bothered hilling them up at all. This worked okay last year, so it should go okay this year. And they're all about to flower. You can just make out the flower heads on all of them, if you can see that. That one there's got quite a few. So they've got a little ways to go yet, but that's the potatoes for the year. We've got a couple of zucchinis going. I'm not sure what that is. I've never seen that. Oh, clearly it's a zucchini, but that sort of was a bit stunted, that one. It'll come good. This one here is our first zucchini. Problem here though is that's the female first and no males. They are coming. Yeah, and if you want to learn about zucchinis, follow along, because you need male and female for pollination. So we'll probably lose this one because it won't be pollinated, but that's fine. It's only the very beginning. Volunteer potatoes. Can you ever get rid of potatoes out of a patch? Probably not. And this is where we're going to plant our bush beans for the year. Now, if you remember, up here there's a link to my second video about broad beans. And it was a pretty sad story, to be fair, and I don't think it's got any better. So let's have a look at where they're at now. And they're at the ripping out stage. They are just garbage. Better root system on that one. And that one. So they're coming out, and we're going to put some more of the bush beans in here to replace them. Now some kind of came back, and you can see the flowers on these, but the leaves are still no good. So there's a fail in the Griffetts Garden for broad beans this year. Excuse the neighbours over there, they're doing a bit of concrete cutting by the sound of that. Anyway, we'll move on pretty quickly. The shade house is open today. It's quite warm, actually. It's heading to 27 degrees, which is about, I think it's about 80, thereabouts, in the F currency, of course. Some butternuts that need to be planted out, and a couple of leftover tomatoes. I'll show you the tomato patch shortly. We have a really nice almond tree here. I gave it a heavy prune this winter, just gone, and you can see the growth. It's gone absolutely bonkers. So that's good. We have a fig tree which I also pruned very heavily. In fact, I thought I killed it, but clearly not. This is a bit of a junky corner, this. We have some fantastic rhubarb in here. This is really fantastic to make rhubarb pie and things like that, strawberry and rhubarb pie and jams and things like that. But so this junky corner, well, that's got another massive gum tree underneath it that I'm just protecting from the rain a little bit to help it dry out before we split it all. It's probably, I don't know, some of those logs are just about 2 foot in diameter. So it's going to take a bit of effort to do that. So let's have a quick look at where we are with the tomato patch that went in. Right. And here we are with the tomato patch that went in. So you can watch all of the links. I'll put them on the screen on how this went in. And you can see here, there's some missing. You can hear the birds in the background. Well, compliments of them. We've lost a few. They just came in and ripped them out. So there's a little bit of replanting to do in there. But this was, you can see up in the corner there, that's a chicken pen, or sorry, chicken house, for the want of a better word. And this was the winter garden area for the chickens. This is where they spend their winter after the vegetables are finished for summer. And so they enrich the soil as they dig around. We had straw in here, and they love it for about 4, 5, 6 months. And here's some of the replacements that we're going to put in. Yeah, not you, dog. We're going to put a, sorry for the dog, we're going to put a yellow globe tomato in. There's a jalapeno, there's a yellow capsicum, there's a stripy, a variegated capsicum, or pepper, and regular bell pepper. We have a few corn going okay. These are the chillies that you saw get planted in a link that I can put up above as well in the raised garden beds. Cayennes. And here we have the KY1 bush tomato, and the lettuces that, except for this one here, are going okay. So that one's interesting actually. Hopefully that's going to grow. And we have a nice strawberry patch. Strawberries are coming along quite nicely. Get out of the way, there we go. Oh, and there's no good though. We let them ripen because the chickens absolutely devour them. So that's the main garden. Let's go and have a look at another section of the garden. So speaking of chickens, little T-Rexes, this is our egg-laying army. You can see they're very friendly. It's hard to touch a chicken, but they're very friendly. These are an Australian breed. We'll talk more about those down the track. A very recent Australian breed, very good hybrid bird. Your typical egg layers. This one's a Bitzer, and the other black one here is another famous Australian bird, that one, the Australorp. They live in here, and you can see they have a huge amount of shade from nice big trees, and extra shade cloth there that they can hide under is equally here. They like to hide, chickens, especially when there's big birds flying over, and magpies like to come and give them a bit of a hurry up as well. So that's the chickens quickly, and all the straw in there is about, well, you can see what she's doing, right? She's keeping herself busy looking for things, always something to find. Chuck a bit of feed out here. Happy chickens, busy chickens. And also when they do the business, it's all nice and in the straw and doesn't stink and flies everywhere, etc. That's the chickens. We'll go and have a look at the next patch just around the corner. Right, so just out here, you'll see the dog investigating. Hey, get out of it. And that's actually going to be, there they go again, another thing that the chickens like to hide from. So this is going to be the pumpkin patch for this year. We've got one in there, but I'm going to put the rest in this afternoon when it cools down a little bit. I've laid out some irrigation pipe. Again, pumpkins is something you don't really want to water over the top. So I've laid out, if you haven't seen this before, it's recycled rubber, and it's just totally porous. Just connect the hose out here, and when this is all full of growth, that'll just water underneath it all, so there'll be no spraying of water on top, and it should keep things like mildew and that under control. These are just self-sown, what are they, marigolds or something like that, so they're all happy. Leave them there. So let's have a look at these garden beds. This was a failed garlic bed with some volunteer parsley, so we've kept that. This is a partially failed garlic bed. Let's just take the lid off, and some pretty poor snow peas, to be honest. But the reason why these garlic beds failed is because these nets were not on here soon enough. And you wouldn't believe it, those big white noisy cockatoos that you saw fly past, they got in here and pulled the garlic out, and they ripped out practically all of that bed. So there was, 60 plants in there. They ripped a few out of this one, and this one over here, we thought they were going to be big enough that the cockatoos, we thought they were going to be big enough that the cockatoo wasn't going to bother them. But there's one that's barely made it through, but they dug this corner out, so we've had to cover them all up with this mesh, including this bed here, which is actually a different variety. So I'll do a full video on different types of garlic down the track, and we're starting to be able to see the difference of them now. Some cucumbers. These are starting to throw flowers and fruit, you can see here. There's quite a few actually. So I'll do a video on these as well. So these cucumbers we're going to stake this year. I staked them last year and it worked quite well. I just didn't prune them enough. Yes, you can prune cucumbers. So hopefully they go all right this year and we don't get the 28 spotted ladybird back that we got last year because they decimated them. Now just behind me are some very good looking eggplants, aubergine. This one here in particular. Probably not far off flowering themselves. So these have done really, really well because over here you can see in the background, it's like a little shade house that fits the raised garden beds. There's a tip, and I'm going to do it a lot more next year. We've planted these seedlings and we've kept this cover on them the majority of the time, even through 80 degrees, 70s and 80s, mid 20 Celsius. Because eggplants, as I said the other day, eggplants, pumpkins, chillies love the warmth. And here's evidence, I think, that these are absolutely loving it. I've taken it off today because it is 27, so I think they'll get the benefit of direct sunlight and plenty of warmth at the same time. You can probably see around me that it's green around the beds, but not so green elsewhere. I couldn't tell you the last time we had rain. It's got to be 6 weeks ago. So irrigation is a must for us. But one of the benefits of raised garden beds is you get nice greenery, and that actually cools the environment down a little bit. It's actually nice and cool. You get the greenery around the beds. The downside of that is you got to mow it. So with every good comes the opposite sometimes. So that's it for out here really, and you probably would have seen all this scrappy stuff over here. This is more silver beet slash spinach slash chard. We're slowly chopping that back and giving it to the chickens. This though, in amongst a few weeds, is giant kale. There's a few different names for it. Walking collards or something like that. Now, this just runs right. But we don't really do anything with it except keep it away from everything else here to get through. Because, as horrible as it may sound, kale is the best thing for controlling aphids in your own backyard. Now we noticed this probably a couple of years ago. We were down in another part of Australia called Tasmania, and we were at a place that grew rhubarb by, I don't know, I guess they probably had about an acre and a half or maybe more of it. And they grew it organically and sold it into the wholesale markets in Hobart. We talked to them about how they keep their pests under control. And we noticed there was kale around the patch, just here, there and everywhere on the corners, full of aphids. And we talked to them about it and they said, yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Yeah, have a sacrificial kale plant, and aphids love it so much. They go there and they stay there. They don't care about anything else. So we've kept that here and proven that it's totally true. So there's a tip. If you want to get rid of aphids in your garden, grow some sacrificial kale. Anyway, that's it for the wander, I think, for this weekend. I hope you like it. And if you did, thumbs up, hit the like button, even hit subscribe if you want to. Come back and see what we're up to from time to time. The pumpkins will probably be in the next time you see it. So, thanks again. That's it from Griffetts Garden for today. Come on, boy. And who can tell me you can't go wrong with your own eggs, your own chili sauce with bacon after a hard wander around the garden.